Picture ancient Egypt, not the pyramid-building days, but a time when a Greek family, the Ptolemies, ruled from Alexandria. They'd been in charge for centuries, but their family drama made reality TV look tame. Cleopatra was born into this chaos, where siblings were rivals and alliances changed with the wind. Her father, Ptolemy XII, was more interested in appeasing Rome than ruling Egypt. Cleopatra's childhood was a crash course in survival, learning politics, spotting betrayal, and mastering diplomacy. Unlike her ancestors, Cleopatra learned Egyptian, connecting with her people in a way no Ptolemy had before. She was a prodigy, fluent in several languages, and educated in philosophy, science, and public speaking. The Ptolemies kept power by marrying within the family, so Cleopatra's siblings were also her biggest threats. Every day was a battle for the throne, and Cleopatra learned to play the game better than anyone. She wasn't just a princess, she was a strategist, preparing for a life where every move mattered. By the time she was a teenager, Cleopatra was already outsmarting her rivals. She understood that to survive she had to be both Egyptian and Greek, both insider and outsider. Her intelligence and adaptability set her apart from her family. Cleopatra wasn't just playing the game, she was rewriting the rules, and soon the world would know her name. When Cleopatra's father died, his will forced her to share the throne and marry her 10-year-old brother Ptolemy XIII. Instead of ruling together, his advisors pushed Cleopatra out, erasing her from coins and documents. Exiled from Alexandria, Cleopatra didn't give up. She raised an army in the east, plotting her return. Meanwhile, Rome was in chaos. Caesar and Pompey were at war. Pompey fled to Egypt, only to be killed by Ptolemy's advisors, hoping to impress Caesar. The plan backfired. Caesar was furious and arrived in Alexandria to take control. Cleopatra saw her chance. She needed to get to Caesar, but the city was locked down. So she pulled off a legendary stunt, smuggled into the palace, rolled up in a carpet. She appeared before Caesar himself. Her boldness paid off. Caesar was captivated. He sided with Cleopatra, sparking a civil war in Alexandria. After fierce fighting, Cleopatra's brother drowned fleeing the city. Cleopatra reclaimed her throne, now with Rome's backing. She and Caesar became allies and lovers, securing her power. Their son, Caesarion, symbolized a new alliance between Egypt and Rome. Cleopatra had survived the ultimate family feud, and she was just getting started. With Caesar in Alexandria, Cleopatra made her move. Literally, rolled up in a carpet, she stunned the Roman general. Caesar, used to power plays, was impressed by her daring and intelligence. Cleopatra didn't just plead for help, she negotiated as an equal, laying out her vision for Egypt. She spoke his language, literally and politically. Caesar saw her as a partner, not a pawn. Their alliance was sealed in both politics and romance. Together they defeated her brother's forces, and Cleopatra regained her crown. With Caesar's support, she stabilized Egypt and secured her rule. Their relationship sent shockwaves through Rome and Egypt. Cleopatra gave birth to Caesarion, strengthening her position, but their partnership was about more than love. It was about power. Cleopatra proved she could stand alongside the world's most powerful man. She wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. But Rome's politics were deadly, and Caesar's assassination would change everything. Cleopatra's next challenge was just around the corner, and this time, it would be even more dangerous. After Caesar's assassination, Cleopatra's world was upended. Rome was in turmoil, and Cleopatra returned to Egypt ruling alone and protecting her son. But Rome's new power players, Octavian and Mark Antony, soon came calling. Antony summoned Cleopatra expecting a nervous queen. Instead, she arrived in Tarsus as a goddess, dazzling the city with a golden barge and a theatrical entrance. Antony was instantly captivated. Cleopatra flipped the script, inviting him to her banquet and taking control from the start. Their chemistry was electric. Politics and passion intertwined. Antony followed her to Alexandria, where their alliance deepened. They became the ancient world's ultimate power couple, famous for lavish parties and bold ambitions. But their partnership was strategic. Cleopatra needed Rome's protection, and Antony needed Egypt's wealth. Together they dreamed of a new empire, blending East and West. Their love story was legendary, but it made powerful enemies. Octavian saw their union as a threat, and he was ready to strike. Cleopatra and Antony were on a collision course with history, and the stakes had never been higher. Cleopatra wasn't just famous for her romances, she was a powerhouse ruler. She inherited a kingdom in crisis, debt, famine, and Roman threats. Cleopatra tackled it all head-on, reforming Egypt's economy and stabilizing her rule. She spoke 9 languages, negotiated directly with foreign leaders, and wrote books on science and medicine. Cleopatra mastered public image, presenting herself as both Greek queen and Egyptian pharaoh. She embraced Egyptian religion, earning her people's loyalty. During famine, she opened royal granaries, saving countless lives. Cleopatra reformed currency, expanded trade, and made Egypt the breadbasket of the Mediterranean. Her leadership was hands-on. She was everywhere, making decisions and solving crises. Cleopatra's alliances with Caesar and Antony were strategic, not just romantic. She used every tool, intellect, diplomacy, and image, to keep Egypt independent. In a world dominated by men, Cleopatra proved she was a ruler to be reckoned with. Her reign was a masterclass in survival and statecraft. Cleopatra wasn't just a queen, she was the CEO of Egypt, and she ran her kingdom like no one before her. Cleopatra and Antony's partnership was more than a romance. It was a political revolution. They envisioned a new empire blending Roman power with Egyptian culture. Their public ceremonies and gifts to their children alarmed Rome. Octavian, Caesar's heir, used propaganda to turn Rome against them, painting Cleopatra as a dangerous foreign queen. The final showdown came at the Battle of Actium. Outnumbered and outmaneuvered, Cleopatra and Antony's forces were crushed. Fleeing to Egypt, they faced defeat and betrayal. Miscommunication led Antony to believe Cleopatra was dead. He took his own life. Cleopatra, refusing to be paraded as a trophy in Rome, chose her own end. Dressed in royal robes, she died by her own hand, legend says by the bite of an asp. Their dream of an Eastern empire died with them, but their story became legend, a tale of love, ambition, and tragedy. Cleopatra's final act was one of defiance. She chose her fate, even in defeat. The world would never forget her, and her legend only grew. Cleopatra's story endures because it's about more than beauty or romance. It's about power, ambition, and resilience. She ruled a kingdom, challenged Rome, and shaped her own destiny. For centuries, her enemies painted her as a seductress to justify their victories, but the real Cleopatra was a scholar, a strategist, and a survivor. Her legacy reminds us that history is often written by the victors, and that the truth is always more complex. Cleopatra defied every expectation, refusing to be defined by others. She was an African queen who stood against the might of Rome. Her story inspires us to question the narratives we inherit. Cleopatra's life was a testament to boldness and intelligence. She lost her kingdom, but won immortality. In the end, Cleopatra had the last word. Her legend still captivates us 2,000 years later, and that's a legacy worth remembering.